So how you doing, Jess?
How
are you doing?
I'm doing good,
I feel
Dan.
like the last couple of weeks where we haven't had any little things prepared, it's been a while since we had a thing prepared at the top of the show. It always starts with you asking me how I'm doing. Well, enough with how I'm doing.
Well,
you've
been the one who's been under the weather and stuff.
Right.
So, seeing what you're up to. There was a thread coming out of my pop screen, and I just wanted to see what was up with that, and you heard what was up with that. It is still attached. Yeah. I don't know. I'm not letting my heart ache. I'm not treading water, waiting on a wave.
Oh my gosh, so much pandering. Come on, don't tell for real now. For real. How are you doing? What's going on? What you been up to recently? I go to work now. I don't know what you're up to all day long. For all I know, you're hosting secret parties and...
I'm hosting secret podcasts.
Are you pod cheating on me? That's unacceptable.
No, I would never.
That'd be so funny. That's the modern version of infidelity. Like all those articles that talk about like TV cheating, where you are supposed to wait to watch a show together with your
next episode. Yeah,
but no, the next one's gonna be like, I started a podcast without my husband involved, and now I don't know what's gonna happen to our relationship.
I mean, I feel like most people start a podcast without their significant other involved. We're just amongst the few that are like, let's just do this as a couple thing.
It's modern times. Like, you don't need to be married to start a podcast anymore. I mean that's the Christian way of doing it, but...
let's just roll the song. Let's just get into it.
I won't be treading water, waiting on a wave, no. I will not let my heart ache.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Sadie Hawkins' Pod.
Hello out there in Radio Land. That's right. I waited until marriage to podcast, and I'm proud to say it.
No, you didn't.
Oh, that's
true. You did a different podcast with other folks before we were married.
That's right. Yeah, we've talked about that here or there. Yeah, I did. Some friends of mine had a comic book podcast before we got married. That's right. And then I still did that podcast into the first couple years of our marriage.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the podcast where we learned it's a good idea to keep all your files in case you need to re-upload an episode with something cut out.
Right.
Right. Like the Beatles, who... Remember that whole thing from recently when we did Good King Wenceslas and the Beatles?
Oh, yeah.
Put a copyright strike and you blocked the whole hour-and-a-half long episode.
Ridiculous.
Of Good King Wenceslas. And, ultimately, they didn't accept my fair use claim, so there's a button to just cut that section out of the episode. I'm like, fine. Just cut it out of the episode. I don't need anyone to know how much the Beatles' Good King Wenceslas sucks. I'll say it here. This is fair use. I'll play it right now and I'll let everybody know the Beatles' Good King Wenceslas sucks. It's stupid and it's awful.
Any other top of the show business, Dan? I know we have a voicemail.
We do have a voicemail. I just want to say we just watched the second trailer for the Weird Al biopic movie.
Oh, here it comes.
And I'm super disappointed. Now, I knew it was going to be a parody. I knew it was not going to be a fully sincere movie.
Right, it's a joke.
It's a joke.
It's based on a Funny or Die sketch from a billion years ago.
It's based on a Funny or Die sketch from 2013, the year of Collapsible Lung. I remember the trailer. I remember the fake trailer on Funny or Die that has Aaron Paul as Weird Al and Olivia Wilde as Madonna. And then we're watching the second trailer for the Roku original movie, Weird, the Al Yankovic story.
I mean, that just sounds like a winner right there.
Right. And Jessica's like, he didn't date Madonna. And I'm like, this, and then, she's like, this is ridiculous. This is, it's an over-the-top, made-up thing. I'm like, no, this is the Funny or Die
Dewey Cox
sketch.
Vibes, but it's not.
But Dewey Cox
fake,
is a perfect
like a fake
movie.
person. Dewey Cox is
Dewey
so
Cox.
good.
See, now I was actually expecting a Dewey Cox level of parody, where, the best parody movies are the ones that actually take the material kind of seriously. They present the story in a way that actually tracks. Like all the good ones, Airplane and Hot Shots. Just trying to think of other good parody movies. But the worst ones are the ones that just throw everything at the wall, like the movies,
Right.
But even the first Scary Movie takes, like, the story seriously.
Major League's a good one.
That's right. Well, that's not a Major League? That's not a parody.
It's a comedy. It's kind of a parody.
It's a comedy, but I'm talking about movies that are parodies. Movies that have, like, Zaz style. They're called Zaz comedy because the directors of Airplane were Zuckers, Abrams, and Zucker. Like, the ones where it's like anything can kind of pop in, like any weird goofiness can just happen for a second. Totally non sequitur comedy.
Sure.
Those kind of parodies is what I'm talking about.
Gotcha.
That's like Hot Shots and whatever. Dewey Cox is amazing because it actually builds a story of this man that never existed, and on that hangs all of these high concept, like non sequitur jokes, like in a world that couldn't exist in the real world. I was expecting something along the lines of that. I was expecting basically Weird Al's real story with jokes hanging off of the tropes of the biopic. But no, they're just taking the Funny or Die sketch from 2013, which was a sketch, and they're stretching it out to, like, what's it going to be, 70 minutes? And then it turns out it's the same director as the Funny or Die sketch from 2013. I'm like, oh, okay, so was he just milling about this idea of the trailer that he shot?
Just trying to sell it to everybody who would listen, and then
Right.
finally Roku was like, we'll greenlight that.
And if you go and type in Funny or Die Weird Al or Aaron Paul Weird Al and watch that version of the trailer, it's more or less the same as the second version of the trailer for the real movie that's coming out. Like, he dates Madonna, and he has a record executive who's played by Weird Al for real. Dr. Demento's there. I'm like, I was really disappointed that's just a fleshing out of that trailer. I wanted them to move on to other ideas of a goofy, not completely real Weird Al Yankovic story, which maybe the movie in its full length will have surprises, but I was disappointed to see that
like
that's
he
what
should
it
have
was.
dated Pat Benatar instead.
What? I don't. Did he do a Pat Benatar song?
I don't know, Danny.
He should have. Are you thinking of
another
Joan Jett?
80s lady?
He will. It was a Joan Jett song. Was one of his first.
Well, it's
Parody
debatable
songs.
whether he could have.
He could have dated.
Yeah.
You're not saying she wouldn't have dated him during her AC and not DC period?
I don't know. Let's move on to voicemails, Dan.
That's right. We do have a voicemail this week. Oh, but you know what was actually good, and I wasn't expecting to be good? She-Hulk.
Right,
She-Hulk's been
yeah.
entertaining.
Yeah, it has been.
And when Jessica and I saw the trailer for that, we were like, oh, this doesn't look good. But I was like, no, this is actually pretty good.
Yeah.
And so it's like a total flip-flop where I was like, well, I'm also criticizing the Weird Al trailer, and I'm saying that the She-Hulk trailer didn't give a lot of, didn't give good
I don't see
foreboding.
why she needs to be very feminine. And just, like, make her super buff. It's just, like, who cares? Who cares? Why does she have to have really long hair
Yeah, they
when
slimmed
she
her
is
down.
She-Hulk, and then, like, have, short hair when she's not She-Hulk? Just, like, be consistent, man.
Yeah, be consistent. That's all women want is consistency.
Like, the difference between the hair and facial hair of Hulk and Smart Hulk and Mark Ruffalo is just, like, normal. He just looks
Right.
exactly the same with the facial hair, so why does her hair grow?
Good question. See, it takes a woman to realize the important things like the hair.
And that she doesn't need to be super feminine. She can be buff and goofy.
And there doesn't need to be another scene where your female superhero is threatened with sexual assault by strangers.
Every single time.
Every female superhero movie, the hero is threatened with some sort of sexual assault, whether they are or are not already powered. It happens in every one of them.
Yep.
Well, anyway, let's see if our voicemail has anything to say about that.
Hey, Justin Dan, this is Bjorn from Washington again. So I was listening to your episode on terminals, and I'm a huge Owl City fan, and I even discovered Relient K through Owl City. And I just don't like terminals, like, at all. I have no love for it. Don't know why, but it really is just not an exciting song for me. It doesn't sound right. Love the rest of the album, though. Glad it wasn't actually on there. Yeah, I sent you an email. I don't know if you got it. I'll resend it if you didn't. But I also was wondering if on your Patreon you'll ever talk about the band Deus Vale, which was on Mono Over Stereo, and Matt Hoops produced one of their albums. They're a really great band. I think you should check them out. But yeah, thanks for podding. Talk to you again.
Heck yeah, we'll talk about Pierce the Veil.
I was not familiar with that band.
No, but we will definitely check it out and
Bjorn's
do a review over on Patreon.
Well, we have a bunch of Patreon episodes, and we've got we've got to start ramping up the topics because we want to talk about Dave Douglas's side projects. We've done a couple side project episodes. I didn't realize we're pretty much almost done with K is for Karaoke.
Right.
I did not realize that until I was reevaluating our song list and being like, oh man, we got so few songs left. And I'm like, wait a second. I didn't mark off these K's for Karaoke songs, and I marked them off, and I'm like, whoops, we only got 2 left. And for me, and 2 lefts don't make a right. But we only have 2 lefts, and I was surprised. All we've got left is Weezer and Tears for Fears. Anyway, that reminds me about Terminals. So I kept calling it last week, I kept calling it an iTunes exclusive. It was an Amazon Music exclusive, and I still haven't gone to see if it's still sold there. But I did get a couple messages from people asking, like, where do I hear this song? And I'm like, I don't know, just YouTube, I guess. That's where we heard it. But it was an Amazon exclusive at the time. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Oh, I did this poll. I did a poll on our Twitter and our Instagram. I asked, what closest describes your thoughts on the Relient K Owl City song Terminals and its place on Forget Not Slow Down? We got 60 votes. Actually, you'll know when we record this episode because we still got 16 hours left on the poll. But I asked, is it the canon ending? Is it an alternate ending? Is it just a song? Or do you say no thanks to Terminals altogether? 10% of people said no thanks. 17% said it's the canon ending to the story of Forget Not Slow Down.
Oof, you 17% Isles. I don't know about you.
28% said it's just a song, and coming in with a rousing 45%, technically a landslide victory. It's an alternate ending to the song, to the album. But I also ran the poll on Instagram, so we can see what people said there.
You had a good response to one of them. I think the Instagram one.
Oh, that's right. Brian Fletcher gave what is absolutely the explanation of the song Terminals, and Brian said it's an after credits scene that teases the next movie. I'm like, oh my gosh, you're absolutely right.
100%.
And again, taking what I said about how this kind of is the proto version, leads you into Collapsible Lung, and someone just takes what I said, it took me 10 minutes to explain, and boils it down to 10 words. Well, the votes on Instagram for the same poll are different.
Okay.
In some ways the same, in some ways different. 17% said no thanks, which is, again, that's where, that was the bottom ranked vote on Twitter as well. 19% said canon ending, which is not. What? I don't remember anymore. I don't remember how this compares.
I think it was 17 on the other.
So 19% said canon ending, but then tying with exactly 19 votes apiece at 32%, you do the math, is alternate ending and it's just a song. And what's nice about Instagram is I can read off everyone who voted and what they voted for, because this ain't no democracy. I can share that. I'm not gonna.
No anonymous voting.
No anonymous voting here. Stop the vote or keep the vote going, whatever it is. Stop the count, keep the count going. What was the thing? I'm just looking real quick.
I think it just depends on the year.
So, I was just trying to double check in here. I'm like, I know John Schneck saw the poll. Did he vote for anything? No, he didn't vote. I'd be like, he said no thanks. He didn't. So he didn't vote. All right. Yeah, I guess he had to abstain. I guess it's No. If people get to vote. People get to vote for themselves. That makes sense. Whatever. Anyway.
Okay. Are you ready to get into the song?
I am ready. Oh, right. Last bit of top of the show business. During Snake Charmer, I showed Jessica, and then I posted it to the social media a couple days later, that yearbook page
Yeah.
of Relient K playing in their high school, or at least in Thiessen's high school.
Yeah, that was so cool.
And Hoops replied to a question, because Hoops is the only one who commented on it, and he said, "Wowzers." That's what his first comment was. And I replied and said, "I couldn't tell if you're actually in these pictures." And, yeah, he was one of the founding members of Relient K, but I don't think it's, too out there to imagine that, that show, he wasn't there or something, And
Sure,
he's like,
sure.
"No, that's me." And I realized the guy all the way in the back, he doesn't look like Hoops. He just looks like a young brunette-haired man, but it must be Hoops. He just looked kind of different. Some people, kind of look different as teenagers than they do maybe by the time they hit their 20s. And then Hoops confirmed that it's him with the duct tape cross on the back of his t-shirt in that photo.
Nice.
So that's top of the show business. So this week, we're talking about Heartache. Heartache, the closing track from Air for Free. Air for Free, the final Relient K album.
Oh no! Stop.
Sorry, the most recent Relient K album.
Oh my gosh, so as I often do with a lot of Air for Free songs, I go back and I scan through, I do a search in my notes app to see if I've mentioned this song in any other notes or if I already have notes for it. And I did have one note, and it was from our Nancy Drew episode. And I said, they also refer to solving a mystery in Heartache, which... This is the almost last track off of the first album, and Heartache is the last song off the last album. Great note, Jessica.
That's a great note. You can see that quality of note-taking has not changed over the years of doing this podcast. So, you just made me realize...
Are you doing the same? Going to search back through your notes, see if you have anything else you said?
It's just, what happens is I have a folder in the Sadie Hawkins Pod Google Drive called Future Episodes, and it's where I drop links for songs that we haven't done yet. But then we'll do that song, and I never check the Future Episodes folder.
Yeah.
And you just made me realize I forgot to, I should even do that this time. So,
apologies for the table. It's getting super creaky again, particularly on Danny's side.
All right, well, I'll stop leaning on it.
I will
not let my table
wrench
creak.
later.
So, Jessica, what do you think? See, here's Empty House. We did Empty House already, and I forgot to check my future notes on it. What do you think of the song Heartache?
This is one of my favorite songs off Air for Free, and for sure it's probably in my top 15 Relient K songs of all time. Relient K doesn't really have songs about chasing your dreams or that sort of vibe. This is kind of the closest that they get, and it's a more down-to-earth Relient K kind of way. It's inspiring, but humbly and attainably so, if that makes any sense. And also kind of a little bit of a humble brag on Thiessen's part, where he's like, "Oh, my dreams found me."
Okay. Well, this is definitely a song that I enjoy, but have never paid super close attention to the lyrics. So
we will dive into them in a little bit.
We'll dive into them. So it'll be one of those episodes where I didn't read through the lyrics ahead of time, and I choose not to do that sometimes. Because sometimes I think I on the mic figure things out that I might not have figured out otherwise.
Okay.
But yeah, this is just a really nice song. It kind of makes sense as a closing track. It's peppy, but it's got that build and those movements within the song of, Air for Free and, reminiscent of Deathbed and then Runnin' and all these theatrical big Thiessen style songs. The songwriting character of theatrical Thiessen.
Right.
I kind of rolled that off my tongue in the incorrect way. These theatrical Thiessen type songs, it's got these movements and it kind of builds in a way. So, it's really nice. But then lyrically, since it's the kind of song that I don't focus on the lyrics, I don't feel the need to, although I guess you have and you've looked into them. It's the kind of song where it's just got that right amount of it's definitely saying something, and I can tell what he's saying most of the time, but I'm not seeing how it's all connecting, and I'm good with that. now I'm going to deep dive into it and maybe I'll find it's disturbing secrets.
I love the guitar work in this song. And
Right.
that's one thing where we'll play it later, but there's a CCM, like, exclusive version of this. And I was like, oh, because Hoops doesn't sort of switch and do, like, all the fun pedal hoop stuff to make this song really what it is. And so I was kind of bummed out by that when we were watching that sort of live performance that they did of it. But yeah, this message kind of gives a little bit of Fix You by Coldplay vibes, just a little bit in there, certain parts. And also in Man, Thiessen sings Goodbye the Heartache. That's the only southern part of me. So that's one other time on this album that Heartache is mentioned.
Okay. So yeah, speaking of Coldplay, like it has that U2, like that U2, like, what is it? Is that the reverb or looped that I have no idea. That classic U2, like looping. Here, hold on. Hold on. I can play the song real quick. This thing. That guitar thing, that's like a classic U2 style thing, and U2 influenced Coldplay, and Coldplay influenced every single Christian band ever that came after Coldplay.
Right.
I like how it actually starts, the song starts with, I don't know if it starts with what feels like a minor chord or a minor note. Like that's it's almost haunted. It's like it feels dour and haunted at first, and you're like, oh, where are we going? You know what I mean? Does it ever make you feel that way at the beginning? How does this first opening piano bit make you feel? Like it resolves quickly. Within 4 seconds, it picks up and resolves. But those first couple of notes, dun, 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 it sounds spooky and
it's very theatrical.
Yeah, it makes you think you're going
epic.
into one place. Yeah, but it immediately lifts you up out of there. And I wonder if in theater there's a thing for that, where you kind of start with what feels like kind of a dour, sour note on purpose, and you immediately lift out of it. Because I feel like that happens in theatrical music all the time. As long as I got the song up, let me quickly... I forgot to take notes on this episode, so let me see what else... Here it is. And then one thing that's fun, especially since this is Relient K's last song from their last album. Excuse me, it's their last song from their most recent album.
Danny, you sound like the Reddit that I don't think I'm going to read, but I did happen to skim and read the very last line of where they're like, this is why I think this song is about Matt leaving the band to go start the Earthquake, which we all know.
He didn't start.
It had been a side project where he had stuff that was filtering through that for quite a while. So...
if anything, to finally find time for the Earthquake.
Right.
Well, one thing I find notable in the song is this moment that I found. It's about 52 seconds in. This part right here. So when he goes, I will not let my heart ache. He kind of like, it feels so unpolished on purpose, right? That feels so human and so silly. At times silly, but at times like heartfelt and sort of human and also playful. And Relient K over the last, Relient K is always like a slick band. Like they always have, you know what I mean? Like their production,
right.
The fact that they went back and like slicked up the second and third album and took out those human elements of like hearing the strings actually slide up and down the fretboard. And then then forget Not Slow Down. They purposefully leave the scratch vocals in for most of the album. So it's not like they have a complete history of this, but I just think of like the complex and somewhat slick production that Relient K strives for. And here on the last song of this album, which kind of restates what Relient K can be, it's kind of a repilot for the future of Relient K, although that future unfortunately got held up by COVID. That, to end this particular album, to have that just playful, that just little thing where he's just like playing with the microphone. It's like a live performance thing. It's not something you normally put here on an album of Relient K. So I just really find that notable and fun.
Yeah, and what's interesting is that most of the songs on the vinyl sequencing are switched around a bit, but this is still the closing track.
Okay, yeah, that's
on both.
Interesting, yeah. That makes sense, actually. Like, I can't imagine anything else closing the vinyl. Like, what opens the vinyl? Is it local construction?
Yes.
Yeah, I can understand. We talked about it with Bumming and local construction. I can understand local construction opening Air for Free. I can see how Air for Free doesn't have... Air for Free is an album that, for the most part, I feel like you can resequence ad nauseum. Like, I think there's a bunch of different sequences you could put together.
Sure, yeah.
Not like, Forget Not Slow Down. I feel like if you're trying to resequence Forget Not Slow Down, like, good luck. Like, yeah, you might just get one that works for you, but it's not going to be one that you can defend to other people. But I feel like a lot of people could resequence Air for Free, and a lot of different versions of it would work, and they would all kind of work together. They would all work in different ways. But I can't imagine another track necessarily closing the album. Like, maybe Empty House, but that would be a very different kind of... You would have to sequence everything in a very different kind of way to purposefully...
Mood.
Yeah. You'd want to build towards that mood where suddenly you have the over... processed vocals. Like, you'd have to find a story from the songs as they exist to get you to that place. Also, Empty House is kind of a downer, although it has the Relient K Hope. And this song is all Relient K Hope. Like, there's not even much of a downer. There's like... This is the kind of song where, we talk about Relient K songs where you deal with a downer topic, but you have the hope. You have, like, the prevailing hope, and you can't even wallow in the upsetting emotions for too long with a Relient K song. This one is like after you're kind of dealing. This is like the bad feelings are an afterthought. Like, yeah, Heartache, he's like, I'm not going to let my heart ache.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, there is implied bad emotions, but they're not even they're in the subtext. The bad emotions are the subtext of the song.
Right.
Not the text, and then the hope becomes the subtext.
And Flower is the track right before this on the vinyl sequencing, where it's Prodigal on the main album.
Okay. And Jessica motioned to me to ask, what else do I have to say? I don't have anything else to say. I don't have many other notes on the song.
Well, then let's go ahead and get into the lyrics, because I've been sitting here with the Genius up on my phone.
I guess I have one other thing. Sorry, I was just trying to think of other things to say. It's an uplifting and poppy song, but it's not a pop song in that it's like, it just kind of like, the last section is kind of a groove that they just ride out, right? Like the last minute or so is just that like clanging cymbal and that, thunderous is too strong a word, but that like chiming piano and guitar just carrying you on this like, sort of like march, this happy little march along the bank. I don't know. You know what I mean? It's like a nice little, it's almost like we had a fun time and now we're walking off into the sunset. Like, that's how it kind of leaves me feeling.
Right.
It's fun. It's a fun song. I won't let my heart ache.
Indeed. So the intro. I suppose that my father did everything Oma and Opa said. Did he find his own way? Couldn't tell you what's in his head, but inside of mine I'm wondering, did he find his own way? The haze of the weather burns them all together, and I'm losing track of time, trying to find my own way. What if forever is better than never, and maybe it's a sign that I find my own way? And this is annotated on Genius. All of it is annotated just to say, Thiessen is asking if his father found his meaning in life.
Well, if you click.
Oh, here we go. Sorry.
The first part it says.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oma and Opa are German for grandmother and grandfather. Here we go. Actually, so it's all annotated, so it's very confusing because it looks like just one run-on sentence.
Right.
But there's 3 separate annotations here. So at the very end, the haze of the weather burns them all together, and I'm losing track of time, trying to find my own way. Thiessen has been looking for the meaning of his life. He's asking if the forever searching of meaning is better than never finding it. And perhaps if searching for meaning is part of the meaning of life rather than remaining idle. So also to note, there aren't official lyrics for Air for Free.
Right.
So these are sussed out or submitted maybe by the songwriter, unclear. But just to kind of keep that in mind. But yeah, I definitely sort of have always read that as, it seems like his dad's kind of found his own place in the world. As far as, Thiessen has thought looking up to his father. He's kind of seen him, has he made his own way? whether, it seems like he's always kind of done what his parents told him to do. And, his
Like
find
go to
his
college.
own. Right, exactly. And found, meaning in his life. And so he's spending all of this time trying to figure out his own meaning and his own place in the world.
Right.
And, wondering if it's up to him to just find his own way, that no one's going to tell him. Chorus. I will not let my heart ache. I won't be treading water, waiting on a wave. No, no, I will not let my heart ache. And that is also annotated. The heartache in this song refers to an emotional yearning for personal meaning. Thiessen is writing that he is not going to do nothing about this feeling, but he's going to try and find the meaning in life.
Well, I wanted an annotation that would explain what a wave is.
Verse 1.
And now there's no more annotations.
No more annotations.
Oh, there's one way further down in the outro. But then the annotator got tired and was like, I'll come back to this later.
No, I never really chased my dream. I started to sing that. No, I never really chased my dream. Never tried to catch a shooting star. I'm not really sure how my dream found me. I guess that's the way you are. Now I'm left with a mystery. Is it always going to be so hard? If I only ever drag my feet, guess I'll never get too far. And so that's interesting where, that sort of, dragging your feet sort of mentality, when you have Bummin' at the opening of this album, where, he's going through a time where he's been dragging his feet and being like, oh, I'm never going to get that far if I just keep dragging my feet. This is definitely like, okay, I'm going to get up, I'm going to get off my butt, and I'm going to start doing something.
Gonna get up off my bum.
Exactly. He's never really tried to go out and chase a dream because it just kind of found him.
Right.
He's sort of, not all of us can start out with our high school band and just keep that train a-rolling.
A band that you've been with for quite a long time, according to the yearbook.
That's right, over 20 years.
I would have loved it if the yearbook had said something sort of backhanded, like, Thiessen's been playing with this band for quite a long time. We'll see where it goes.
So yeah, I think that's sort of interesting, and now I'm left with a mystery. Is it always going to be so hard? Kind of going back to the whole trying to find meaning in life. Back to that sort of first intro there. Pre-chorus. To hold on or let it go. I tell you it's all I know. Chorus. I will not let my heart ache. I won't be treading water, waiting on a wave. No, no, I will not let my heart ache. Verse 2. No, I'm never going to lose my beat. I take it easy on the weak of heart. I hear you telling me not to speak, so here comes the quiet part. Maybe I never solved the mystery. Is it always going to be so hard? If I only ever drag my feet, I guess I'll never get too far.
Oh, and his car broke down in Bummin', so he wasn't going to get very far. Nah, I'm sorry. I'm just harping off the really good connection that you made to Bummin'.
No, it's just sort of he's saying here that he's never going to lose his beat and that sort of thing, which is a fun little play on words since he's in a band. And, just kind of about just kind of moving on and keeping on going in life. Even if you're not really sure if you're going in the right direction, you just keep going.
Right. Yeah. I like that. And so if anyone would listen to this song and be like, this song's about the end of Relient K, I guess, you could read it that way. It's it's almost saying, if it was that, which it's not, it would be oh, no matter what happens, I'm going to keep on keeping on. I'll keep doing music. I'll keep following my dream, even if Relient K is not a thing. Now, I don't think that's what he was saying. And there's a possibility that he was kind of saying, hey, I'm going to keep doing this, whether it's Relient K or not. But that doesn't indicate it's not going to be Relient K. Right.
It's definitely I'm just going to keep trying to find my place. And if that means taking the time to work on Earthquake stuff more, finally, then that's cool.
It'd be funny if it's I don't want to be in Relient K anymore. I want to work on the earthquakes. And everyone thought he was going to be a seismologist. I'm leaving Relient. There's so many bands. Oh my gosh. I definitely can't think of all of it. I just think of so many bands that broke up or members left because they wanted to go back to school. And we're in back to school season. Hey, kids, stay in school. The Descendants.
Danny's back at school.
The Descendants originally broke up because Milo went to college and all that. And when Weezer kind of went on hiatus the first time. Yeah. When Weezer went on hiatus the first time, like he went to Harvard, and everyone's always like leaving their bands to go to school. Like, you got a band. Just be a band. Just shut up and play in your band. I don't mean that.
Bridge. Up and Adam, bright as the start of a brand new day. There's a magic to it, never let it go. Up and Adam, it's the time when you awake. Something holy to it, only you can know. Could know, excuse me.
I yawned. Oh, these lyrics, yawn. No, I'm just sleepy.
The haze from the weather burns them all together, and I'm losing track of time, trying to find my own way.
Oh, he's losing track of time. Do you think he got an alien abduction?
What if forever is better than never, and baby, it's a sign that we found our own way?
Hey, we all lost time in a way because of COVID-19.
That is true, but this is a song pre-COVID. I think that that's definitely a very relatable that last little chunk there of the haze from the weather burns them all together, and I'm losing track of time trying to find my own way.
The haze from the weather burns together, and consequently so am I.
Just the idea of losing track of time trying to find your way is like, that's just the millennial story.
Weird, the millennial story.
Oh no, not this again. Back at it. Chorus, oh, I will not let my heart ache. Outro, and here's where we have our next annotation. There will be no opus. There will be no opus. No seminal masterpiece to wear around our necks. And here that says,
proposed suggestion. I've never seen that on Genius.
Perhaps this is still in reference to the subject of this song, the pursuit of our meaning in life, and not Relient K's sound. It's much deeper than that, I believe. Instead, Matt really drives home the point of this song, that we, in all caps, will not be the ones to write our own opus. There will be no opus, and we will never do anything so profound that we match or succeed what Jesus did on the cross for us. Seminal masterpiece to wear around our necks. This line is referencing the crucifix, which is commonly worn on a necklace. I mean, yeah, sure. I could totally see that. You know, I sort of had always kind of viewed that line maybe in more of the, like, you got the humble brag part out of the way, and now he's, like, kind of being down on himself or whatever, where he's like, I'm not going to have an opus, you know, I won't have some seminal masterpiece to wear around our necks as a band, was kind of how I had always kind of looked at that line. Not that that's accurate or not, because one could say that, you know, to many fans, that is Forget Not Slow Down, and they do kind of continue to wear that around their necks, especially after Collapsible Lung comes out, and it's like, oh my gosh, you're really not matching it now.
Right.
But I do kind of view that as maybe thinking that he has not, you know, composed as a band. They have not done that, you know, they've not done their opus yet, and, you know, no seminal masterpiece, and maybe that they're not striving for that. They don't want any work that they would also have to then compare it to. But I can totally see the more religious meaning as well.
Well, that's funny because this is a lyric that I never paid attention to and did not suss out what he was saying on my own. So I'm confronting this lyric for the first time and all of its ideas right now. And you know me, old agnostic Danny. And I'm not agnostic in my personal beliefs, but agnostic in the idea of, like, you know, I hear a Relient K song that's not overtly religious and maybe only implies it, and I want to see that from the possible non-religious side first. But then they say this annotator says that the seminal masterpiece around the neck is the cross that Jesus bore. I'm like, okay, I have nothing else to go on. And then I'm sitting here trying to think of, how do you what does that mean to wear a masterpiece around your neck? And I'm thinking, I'm like, what else could that possibly mean? And I'm kind of stuck. I'm a little stymied on trying to think of anything. And I'm like, it might mean the religious thing, but then you kind of like touched on it. You're like, you make a masterpiece and you wear it like an albatross.
Exactly.
Something you can't get rid of. And in that way, the idea of the masterpiece around your neck is the opposite of that annotator's idea, where the masterpiece around the neck is actually a burden. Not, the cross was Christ's burden, but that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about you have a burden around your neck, and that is that you peaked. That you peaked somehow.
Right. Yeah.
And didn't we just do a song that was possibly... I gotta look at our recent...
I don't know where you're going with this, so I can't help.
We just did a song where we were talking about how this might have to do with kind of reflecting on... It was on the second album. What was this second album song we did recently?
Oh, okay. You're jogging my memory.
I won't make you play the game. It's Fallen Out.
Okay.
We just did it 3 weeks ago. So Fallen Out, I always had an idea of what that song was alluding to, although never knowing exactly what it was. And then as we were talking about it, we're like, maybe this has to do with like the expectations of being a musician, or being a touring musician, or being a musician that needs to have success to keep your band going, to, keep your friends employed and do all these things. And will people stop paying attention to me? Will they think like I said everything I needed to say? If Heartache is hitting on that same theme, if it is implying something religious, but also not implying something religious, possibly implying the idea of we're Relient K and no albatross, no masterpiece to be straddled to, it could be in line with that falling out idea that we touched on 3 weeks ago.
You know that nothing's hopeless. Come on. There will be no opus. I will not let my heart ache. There will be no opus. No seminal masterpiece to wear around our necks. And then it's just a lot of like calling sort of back and forth to
this
previous lines.
This is that just riding the groove out to the end of the
outro.
song, and kind of that like walking along the beach walking along the lake up to the sunset is what I implied. It's like it makes me think of like a fun march, like a cartoon. I don't know. The end of this song brings to mind, because Relient K is twee. We talked about it. Relient K has twee leanings. It makes me think of like a parade of children and their toys, just like the Lost Boys, right?
Sure.
Just kind of marching, which is a thing that he references in his songs as well. Just the idea of like dreamers, just kind of, or like just like a fun, when we're out and we see the vampire
That's how I feel
march.
when I listen to like local construction and stuff. Is I have that
think
same
of the busy
sort of
world
feeling.
of Richard Scarry.
Exactly, yeah, and Roly Poly Oly.
Like when we're out sometimes in Los Angeles and like, oh, there's a parade of Tom Petty fans walking down Ventura Boulevard right now. Cool. Or we're at the beach and there's like a light up, like everyone's wearing neon dark LED lights all over their bikes, and there's a bike parade. It just makes me think of like a whimsical twee parade of dreamers marching off, refusing to let their hearts ache. So I feel like I didn't like deeply tackle this song, and I apologize. Like, I like this song a lot, but like I said, I never really deep dived in the lyrics, and I think it's just a fun beat that just kind of carries you out for this later half of the album. Plus these sort of waves of what I'm seeing now is just the sort of first 2.5 minutes. You have these movements within the song that, all come to this long outro, this sort of long ambling outro. So it's interesting, and it's a great closing track. I really, really like it. So with that, we will take our break, and we'll be right back with Deep Dive and similar periphery. We just want to take a moment to thank you for listening to Sadie Hawkins Pod. Whether you've been listening for a while or this is your first time, we want to hear your thoughts on this episode, your corrections, and your Relient K memories at our voicemail line, which is 402-95-SADIE.
And if talking on the phone isn't your thing, because I know it's not mine, and whose is it really, you can send us an email to sadiehawkinspod@gmail.com, or visit our socials at Instagram and Twitter, which are both at sadiehawkinspod. While there, you can also see the visuals we discuss on the podcast each week.
You can also visit sadiehawkinspod.com for easy access to all these links as well as to our merch store for shirts, mugs, stickers, and more.
We also want to thank our patrons at patreon.com/Sadie Hawkins Pod, who include Emily, Charity, Isaac, Kendall, Joshua, Timothy, Daniel, Jay, Joel, Connor, Michael, Samantha, Jimmy Pod, This Might Be a Podcast, Tucker, and Brady.
Join our Patreon now for 2 monthly bonus episodes, our entire backlog of bonus episodes, which include reviews of the K's for Karaoke songs and chapters of the complex infrastructure known as the Female Mind Book. You'll also get stickers, guitar picks, and a special Patreon exclusive shirt when you've donated a lifetime contribution of $60.
Ooh, that sounds like fun. Where can I sign up again?
At patreon.com/Sadie Hawkins Pod. If you want to be a patron of the arts, the fine arts, the podcast arts, there's one place to go.
SadieHawkinsPod.com/ oh, wait, no, that's not it. I'm sorry, I panicked.
One of the reasons why I picked this song this week was because someone sent us a cover specifically, which we'll get into in a little bit when we get to my covers. And I was like, oh, great. Well, they actually sent us a bunch of covers. He's like, I'm not sure if you did all these songs yet. And we had done all of them but Heartache.
Oh, no.
So I was like, okay, well, we'll do Heartache soon. And then, the next day, Church Jams Now tagged us in this meme that says, the songs may be about heartache, but they leave your heart full, at Norma Jean Band, at Relient K. And the meme is the ultimate handshake from Predator in the painting style. And it says Norma Jean and Relient K, and it says ending their record with a song called Heartache. So they tagged us in that. Now, I've never heard the Norma Jean song Heartache. I never owned any Norma Jean records. I was not really into metalcore or any of that stuff. But let's hear a little bit of Norma Jean's Heartache. Oh, it's also got some U2 guitar.
Look at you, Danny. Norma Jean, a big band like them, they're going to come after us just like the Beatles did.
Oh, and this is an 8-minute song. We're going to play the whole thing. That's the second half of this episode. Whoa!
Wow. Oh, good Lord.
I would say Relient K definitely strikes a different musical note than Norma Jean's. Yeah, I'll check this song out in full later. But yeah, it's an 8-minute song, so it seems to have lots of little synthy parts. Yeah, they're both very, they both have theatrical movements, but obviously Norma Jean's doing a lot more here. I had just never listened to this song.
Yeah, I've heard that it's one of those bands where I've heard the name, but I was not super familiar with their music.
When metalcore got big, I was not into it. And I was only vaguely into metal. Now that I'm been listening to more metal in the last couple of years, I kind of picked up where I left off. But back then, I only was into metal that kind of had punk leanings. I checked out Motorhead and Anthrax and Suicidal Tendencies because they all had a foot in punk. But then metalcore hit, and even though it's supposed to be a metal punk hybrid as well, I just didn't like. I don't like the musical aesthetic. I don't like the tone. That sort of that fourth wave emo tone that they hit, it was never for me. There's only one metalcore band I ever really liked, and it was a local band called Mercury Switch, who had a couple of records nationally distributed, but they were more thrashy and a little bit more punk live. I don't remember what the record sounded like.
Okay.
But anyway, I was never really into the Norma Jeans and those kind of bands. I just didn't like that Warped Tour style of metalcore. So, I don't even know what counts as, secular metalcore. What's a metalcore band? Where did metalcore start? Did it start with all the Christian bands that I was familiar with? Haste the Day? I liked Hope's Fall a little bit. I don't know if they count as metalcore. I liked their first album. I don't know. Jessica's preparing some stuff, so I'm just going to prattle on about metalcore.
All right, so as I mentioned, we had a very long Reddit analysis, which I just kind of skimmed, that ultimately led them to sort of feeling that it was about the band's maybe breakup or Thiessen moving on. So if you're interested, I'll let you search that out. If you just put in like Relient K Heartache Reddit or whatever into Google, you can definitely find it there. Then we have an Indie Vision Music Air for Free review, and I couldn't remember if we had gone over this one before or not. It didn't look super familiar to me, but at the same time, the first time we did an Air for Free song was 2 years ago, so it's entirely possible we had gotten to it already. Anyway, if you liked The Force Awakens, you should be thoroughly enjoying Relient K's latest record, Air for Free.
2016 feels like yesterday and 40 years ago at the same time.
Both have a hearty dose of nostalgia to welcome you back to the artistic world you fell in love with, whether that's a galaxy far, far away.
Oh no, does that mean the next Relient K album is going to be The Last Jedi?
Oh no, we already did that, Danny. It's called Collapsible Lung.
No, that was before, but that was...
Or a playful punk band from Ohio. Yet there's enough growth and promising new direction present that the new endeavor's success doesn't rely on nostalgia alone. It's a delicate balance.
I mean, I would argue that that the Force Awakens analogy falls right apart there, because Force Awakens it depends on nostalgia alone. Yeah, you have it is nostalgia alone. Just because you have new characters, new window dressing, it is a New Hope redone, full on. Like we didn't. I gotta get into this again. We didn't need a new Empire. We needed to move on. Like the first trilogy, the prequel trilogy, as bad as it is, it was a completely different dynamic of the universe than the original trilogy.
Absolutely.
We needed a completely different paradigm for the third set of movies, but instead they just recreate the Rebels and recreate the Empire so they can start from the original trilogy again. Like, I wanted a whole new paradigm. Like, they should have if anything, they could have flipped it the other way. Make, like, which I think they did in the Legends books. Like, it should have been this up-and-coming bad guy, like, terrorist group of, like, dregs of the leftover Empire. Which could have, in a way, like, sort of set up what's actually kind of happening in our government today. Like, these, like, just, like, these shreds of bad ideas and bad groups that are now coming into power. Like, you could have had, like, oh man, there's so much they could have done. Instead, they just redid the Empire and redid the Rebels and just called them different things. Like, why were they in hiding? Why was the Resistance in hiding? Why did they have to have this? I'm sure it's explained in Extended Universe, post-Disney and everything, but, like, the new Rebels, the Resistance, shouldn't be in hiding. They don't have to be in hiding. They're not a resistance. They're the people trying to keep the bad guys from taking over again.
It's a delicate balance few releases are able to achieve, but the Relient K you know and love came through with flying colors, specifically red, blue, and yellow, on Air for Free. Relient K and Star Wars are both long-running beloved franchises. However, the last few installments in both franchises have been a little rocky. Much like the prequels, Relient K's last two releases, K is for Karaoke and Collapsible Lung, advanced the band's overall story but were lacking in execution. I sort of beg to differ with that. I don't feel that they advanced the overall story. Fans of both sagas felt distance from the art they had grown up with. Now, 3 years after their last release, Matt Thiessen and Matt Hoops
also a cover album can just be a cover album.
Have triumphantly returned to form with the album fans have been waiting for. Everything is back in place with Air for Free. The witty, heartfelt, and comedic lyrics of Matt Thiessen occupy all 16 songs on this hour-long opus. Oh, he just said it was not an opus. He's back behind the mask. He's the man behind the mask. He's back behind the piano with Hoops loyally accompanying him on guitar. It's the It's the slimmest lineup. Sorry.
It's the slimiest lineup.
I'm sorry I delved off into Alice Cooper territory, and I'm ready for spooky season apologies. It's the slimmest lineup for a Relient K album in history, but studio contributors from Mark Lee Townsend, Dave Douglas, and Tom Brafoyle expertly fill out the rest of the album. The result is a completed work that feels familiar and new at the same time. Bummin' boldly kicks off the record, and it's heavily reminiscent of Relient K's punk roots. Relient K kicked off around the idea of recording a punk album after Collapsible Lung, but don't let Bummin' fool you into thinking they actually did. Local construction quickly puts those thoughts to rest, and it sets the stage for the piano to lead the rest of the record. Both songs feature comically contemplative lyrics that delightfully harken back to Matt Thiessen's witty way of dealing with his flaws in the same way he has on songs like Forward Motion and This Week the Trend. Lyrically, Air for Free has shades of every emotion shown on past releases. Relient K's lighthearted, humorous side reemerges on Mrs. Hippopotamuses and Cat. The rest of the record has songs about the bubbly side of love, views of God, and some of the more vulnerable aspects of Matt's shortcomings. Heartache is a theme carried throughout the album. It's mentioned in Bummin' Man, Empty House, and the closing track where it's addressed in a direct, inspiring fashion. In this resolve to deal with these emotional struggles, we see the heart and soul of Relient K returning to the joyful group they've been for so many years. Air for Free is just as musically varied as it is lyrically. The record is perhaps the most piano-driven of any Relient K release, with the piano taking center stage. Hoops is able to play in the pocket and become the silent hero of the record. His surfy guitar lines are expertly crafted to perfectly complement Thiessen's lead. Every time I listen to the record, I find something new that sticks to me. The Mats have struck 14 karat gold in this simple balance of piano and guitar, and the music feels fresh and honest. Now it only strikes 14 karat gold. Sure, it's better than 10, but it's not as good as 18, and we're not even talking about platinum, so... Throughout the scope of the record, Relient K explores a few... Are you trying to pay a compliment or not is my question. Throughout the scope of the record, Relient K explores a few new directions with their music. The title track features a heavy use of program music. Sleepin' introduces ukulele into Relient K's immense catalog. Empty House is a polarizing song with its use of auto-tune on Matt's vocals. While it makes some of the lyrics hard to discern, it reinforces the remorseful emotion of the song. The biggest experimentation on Air for Free occurs in completely altering the song structure at any point during a particular song. The alterations range from simple tempo changes to morphing into an almost completely new Relient K song. Danny's so bored he just got up and left. Relient K explored this in the past.
I'm just letting you do your thing.
And I Am Understood When I Go Down in Deathbed, but Air for Free proudly boasts this experimentation. Oh, speaking of Relient K and shirts and such and merch, Danny's got his LaCroix on.
I was gonna pretend it was a beer. I was gonna do this.
Sorry.
Daddy needs his podcast juice. And then you were gonna say
Our
it's not
Relient K
a beer.
podcast, it can be LaCroix. Proudly
But you had to
boasts-
tell everyone it wasn't a beer before I could even get the
I'm
lie
sorry,
out.
dear. Proudly boasts experimentation, notably in Elephant Parade, Marigold, Runnin', and Heartache. The victorious transformation in the last half of Marigold is a key example of the experimentation in song structure, and it may be the best thing Relient K has ever done in its accomplished career. The changes never feel forced, and
Have you ever heard of a little song called I Am Lion-O?
they prevent the record from dragging amidst its robust track list. If you put Relient K's music from 2000-2009 in a time capsule, let it age, and opened it up in 2016, the result would be Air for Free. Despite the varied nature of the songs, they all seem to fit into one cohesive unit. It's certainly in the running for the best album in their catalog,
Run in.
which speaks for itself. Much like
Did they
The
spell
Force
running
Awakens.
with an apostrophe?
No.
Missed opportunity there.
Much like The Force Awakens, the Air for Free successfully begins the third part of the saga that is Relient K. The Mats are back, and Air for Free is highly recommended if you enjoyed the long-running franchise returning to form, a balanced mix of innovation and nostalgia and lens flares.
And like The Force Awakens, we will not be... Surely we will have the follow-up in 2 years. I like how that entire sequel trilogy ended before we got another Relient K album.
Oh, yeah. Facts. And a couple shows came out. Let's see. Then over on AllMusic, allmusic.com, we have 35 ratings, but we only have one review. And overall, most users gave it 3 out of 5 stars. Air for Free review by Neil Z. Young. Ohio duo Relient K's 8th album, Air for Free, Mono versus Stereo, is a lush and joyful air produced by DC Talk's Mark Lee Townsend. Unlike all their other albums, Air for Free debuted in the top 50 of the Billboard 200 and topped the Christian charts with its sunny, creative blend of indie rock and contemporary pop. Along with the lead single, Bummin', Air for Free is an uplifting collection of 16 songs of positive spirituality.
I used to use AllMusic as a regular website back in the day. I think AllMusic has really like taken a huge step back, but there was a time where they were the closest thing to a Discogs out there. That's where you'd go to really get a confirmed version of a band's discography.
Oh, interesting.
You know what I mean? Like if you went to an Amazon or something like that, you're searching out the band name and you're like, well, is this all their records? AllMusic was the place to go
because they had all the music.
They did, but they were, they weren't really Discogs the way that Discogs is now, but they basically would give you the whole band's discography laid out year for year. They would have their own written reviews and star ratings, so some of them might have been BS, but yeah, they would always, and then you could search by genres and related moods and all kinds of stuff. So it was a great tool back in the day for like finding new music that you had never looked into, or being aware of a band and you want to get like better information about them. But so many better apps nowadays for that stuff, and AllMusic has definitely kind of been left in the dust in terms of that stuff.
Gotcha.
Well, there are a couple covers of this on SoundCloud, so we'll start with those because I haven't listened to any of the covers this week. I've been very busy with my job and I'm back to school this week, so I just didn't have this. So I was like, quickly pull up all the searches and then we will listen to them together.
So
just
what
like
I'm hearing is you
to.
did not come to class prepared, Danny, and school's only just begun.
Well, I thought it was like orientation week. Like you just show up, you get your notebook, you find out where the kegger's going to be, and then you just chill. But no, we got to start learning right away. So here is a cover. It's called Heartache Reprise, Relient K Tribute by Derek Baumel. This is great.
Yeah,
this is
total
such an
Oasis
aesthetic.
vibes. I mean, not Oasis the band,
right.
Oasis as in
The Relient K
the
track.
Relient K track.
Yeah. So this is a 2.5 minute atmospheric cover. So I've skipped about a minute 30 in. That's fantastic.
Yeah, so they just keep that vibe up. I'm loving it. That's great.
That's amazing. Well, I love the way that Derek Baumel lets their music ring, but Let Music Ring is the name of the next account. What a coincidence. I mean, I read these things, and that was a very, very clunky transition, if anything. But here is the cover by Let Music Ring on SoundCloud of Heartache by Relient K.
No, I never really chased my dream. Never tried to catch a shooting star. Not really sure how my dream found me. I guess that's the way you are. Now I'm left with a mystery. Is it always gonna have to be so hard? If I only ever drag my feet, I guess I'll never get too far to hold on or let it go. I tell you it's all I know. I will not let my heart ache. I won't be treading water, waiting on a wave.
Sounded like they said shredding water, not treading water. It's treading water. That's a topic we could have discussed. You ever skip stones, Jessica? You ever had stones tread water? You ever skip stones?
Yeah,
I skipped
I
stones.
tried skipping stones as a kid.
Yeah.
I don't remember being terribly successful at it. I think I'd get maybe 1 or 2 in before it'd kind of just go clunk.
I would get a good, like if we were up in the lakes in New Hampshire or something, and it's like a nice wide lake and a big, a beach technically, but it's like a rocky beach, and so you're nice and parallel with the water, and the water's calm because it's a lake, it's not the
Right.
ocean. You can get a real. I think I got like a good 3 or 4.
Maybe that was my problem. I was usually around oceans.
Right. Yeah, skipping stones on the ocean, like it's just ridiculous. Any more good dog memes coming up? Any more good dog videos?
No.
What else you got
I'll
there?
save those for later.
When we run out of Relient K songs until they release new music, we're just going to become a dog video podcast. We're just going to sit here and watch dog videos on Instagram.
Now I know
and
you
describe
have.
them.
I know you have more than that. I'm just multitasking over here. What else do you have for
Well,
us?
I just want to hear a little bit further into Let Music Ring. So
All right,
let's hear
go
about
for
2.
it.
Now they do a longer cover. This is 3 minutes and 40 seconds thereabouts. So here's about 150 into the song.
It's the time when you awake, something holy to it, only you could know. The haze from the weather burns them all together, and I'm losing track of time, trying to find my own way. What if forever is bad?
Okay.
The tune dropped a little bit there when you kind of came back into it, the spot that you came back
Yeah.
into, and I was lost for a second, and then it picked back up again.
Yeah, interesting cover. Like, I liked how it kind of started out so electric, and then it just kind of sounded more MIDI when I skipped about a minute 50 in.
Right.
It sounded, it didn't seem to hold up in the second half. I mean, I guess I have to hear the whole song to compare, but yeah, I definitely like the opening part of that cover better than the rest. Jessica's showing me an adorable pug that's just sitting there like a little person.
Little belly. It's got a little sweet belly.
Oh, sweet belly. Where's our sweet belly? Where's April?
She's hiding under the bed.
She thinks there's flies in the house, and there's no flies in the house.
No,
she
she's
hates flies.
terrified of flies for whatever reason.
And then there is the cover that, like I said, was part of the reason we ended up doing this episode.
Right. I'm excited to hear this.
This cover is by Wesley Musgrove, and this is shared on Instagram. This is one of the first times we've ever had an Instagram cover.
Oh, nice.
How do I pause Instagram? Especially since... Okay, hold on. How do you pause? Oh, that just muted it. I'll have to start it again. I'm sure there's tons of covers on Instagram. I probably found them a bunch, but Instagram's so useless at trying to search out things, especially if it's a song like
right.
Now, normally, if it was a song like Heartache, what does it do? Search
Heartache.
Heartache, hashtag heartache. Like, I'm never going to find anything. Maybe it's like, not even college kids. I don't know. I am Lion-O. I might find something. Or Pressing On with no G. I might find something. I don't know.
Sure.
No, Pressing On does have a G. Anyway, here is...
You can try it both ways. You never know.
Yeah. I'm going to have to start this again. Here is Wesley Musgrove's Instagram cover that they sent us.
I suppose that my father did everything on my note, but said, did he find his own way? Couldn't tell what's in his head, but inside of mine, I'm wondering, did he find his own way? The haze of the weather burns them all together, and I'm losing track of time, trying to find my own way. What if forever is better than never? And maybe it's a sign that we found my own way. I will not let my heart ache. on a wave. No, I will not let my heart ache.
One man
Yeah.
full band cover. What production value?
This is how you pause. You hold it down. You press it down just like Instagram stories. But now since
okay.
Instagram did Reels, I didn't know Reels. That's the same way you
Right,
pause it.
right.
You hold it down. So yeah, very nice. And this is a long song. A long song makes it tough to go through all the covers. So I'll skip about 3 minutes in and see how he handles the later parts of the song.
It's rocking out.
Because there are visuals. This is an Instagram reel, so he's like full on rocking out in the middle of a field with the guitar. Oh, he's got a
He's
banjo.
got banjo? Wow.
I won't be able to edit this in because we're talking it over it, so.
Where is he? Like, I don't know, Ohio, Tennessee, one of those sorts of states?
I don't know. Hold on, let me look.
Great backgrounds. Very Relient K.
It doesn't say. It does not say.
Lots of fields and there's a forest and good stuff.
I don't want to dox him. Lots of pictures of his family and stuff. And I was just looking if The Disease by PM. I don't know what that is. Oh well. I'm not sure what state he lives in. Well, that's great. Thank you for sending that.
Yeah, that was great.
Everyone go follow Wesley. I've already closed his account. Hold on. Wesley Musgrove. M-U-S Grove. And then, of course, because this is air for free, there is a J.C. Keith cover, I assume. I didn't go look it up beforehand.
Right, because full air for free album cover.
And the thing is, I never, when I do my YouTube search, J.C. Keith's covers never come up because they're not out there.
Gotta get on that SEO.
I know. It's just that they're not tagged to be able to easily find by searching the words Relient K. They're not like tagged Relient K, which I guess is proper. So here's J.C. Keith's cover from their full album tribute of Air for Free.
But the way you sing that sounds really good.
Okay, you know what? All these covers are just going to be the beginning part. So let's right away skip about 2 minutes into J.C. Keith's cover. I hope there wasn't gold in the first 2 minutes, but let's hear 2 minutes in. That's too far in. Let's go back. Let's go about 50 seconds in.
Found my own way. I will not let my heart ache. I won't be treading water, waiting on a wave. No, I will not let my heart ache. Chase my dream.
I like that they did the heartache.
Yep,
They
yeah,
did the
same
same thing.
enunciation.
Let's hear the last minute or so.
Seminal masterpiece to wear around our neck. I will not let there'll be no okay. I won't be treading water. Come on, come on, come on. There'll be no
Now I want to go back because it was too similar to the first part. I guess I just don't have the movements of this song in my mind, so I can't be like, oh, we should hear the little dip down part, and then we should hear the outro part.
time, trying to find my own way. What if forever is better than never? Maybe it's a sign that we found our own way.
Maybe that's the best way to do covers.
Skip around.
Skip around. I won't do that for the rest of the covers, but I'll do a little bit. But yeah, someday when we do the deathbed covers, which we've never done, that'll be how I do the deathbed covers.
Great. You didn't happen to just already cover that in your...
No, I didn't do that in the deathbed episode you weren't a part of, so you'll have to be there for that. Here we have another cover. Should I do more covers or should I do weird things? Oh, we didn't talk about the CCM magazine.
No,
thing
I was
or any
waiting
of
for
the
that.
live
That's
things.
why I said I know
So
that you have more
why don't we
coming.
go-
We
why
have
don't
some
we-
lives. We've got the CCM thing.
Why don't we drag this out and make people listen to the end of the episode? Why don't we do the Relient K part at the end?
Oh boy.
So let's do the rest of these covers, and then we'll go back to Relient K.
All right. Sounds like a plan.
So here's the only other cover. There's also a drum cover, but this is the only cover to speak of. Oh no, maybe there's two. No, that's a live video of the band Relient K performing their hit song Heartache. So here's the only other cover that I found of this song.
Okay.
And there was a drum cover, but I guess we won't do that one. So this is by Becca Kate, which I think we have seen Becca Kate before. Bekah, and Kate is spelled Cate. So this is Becca Kate with their cover of Heartache by Relient K.
I suppose when my father did everything on my notebook said, did he find his own way? Couldn't tell you what's in his head, but inside aloud, wondering, did he find his own way? The haze of the weather burns them all together, and I'm losing track of time, trying to find my own way. What if forever is better than ever, and maybe it's a sign?
Whoops. I clicked an ad, so the song
I was
stopped.
like, oh, that's so
but what
nice.
do you think of this?
I
Is
was
this
not
nice?
expecting for you to end it there. So,
I didn't mean to
yeah.
end it there, but what do you think of that so far?
It's nice. Yeah, I'm enjoying it.
This is an almost 5-minute piano solo cover, so here's about 2 minutes in.
Week of heart, I hear you telling me not to speak. So here comes a quiet part. Maybe I never solved the mystery. Is it always gonna have to be so hard? If I only ever drag my feet, I guess I'll never get too far to hold on or let it go. I tell you, it's all I know. I will not let my heart ache. I won't be treading water, waiting on a wave. No, no, I will not let my heart ache. I will not let my heart ache.
Amazing, super
Yeah, that's-
powerful
yeah,
voice. That's
really
so
like that.
beautiful.
Yeah, that's great.
That's fantastic. And I got good news, Jessica. I found 2 more covers.
All right.
Here's a cover by... Where'd they go? This is the 9th Street Hooligans. So I can only assume this is going to be some street punk, some oi cover.
That's right. It's gonna
Oi,
be a
oi,
raucous
I will
good
not
time.
let my heart break. Go on down to the pub and not let me heart break. So this is by the 9th Street Hooligans, Spring 2017. Let's hear what they sound like. Jessica looks disappointed. It's a college a cappella group. You wouldn't expect a bunch. They seem like very nice people. I wouldn't think they're hooligans. Maybe it's because some of them are wearing sneakers, and that's kind of a hooligan look if you ask me. If you're in a cappella group, you need to be wearing nice suits and dresses and stuff. I sometimes wonder what's like the politics of picking a song when you're in an a cappella group. Like when you have a big group like this, because this is a lot of people, 3, 6, 9, 12. There's at least 12 or 13 people on stage. Like who picks the song and like brings the song and says, "Oh, I want to do this Relient K song, Heartache," and
Probably
everyone
their music director.
maybe the music director, but yeah, it's just
And then they probably audition for who gets what parts.
it's just like, deep cut, like not the deepest cut.
I mean,
but
I was in chorus back
context
in the day.
Right. In the context of music, like pretty deep cut. And I don't know what I'm about to say church, but what school? It doesn't even say what they're part of. It doesn't say like if they're part of a school or anything. HMC 2017. I don't know. It doesn't really say
Harmony Musical College.
Claremont Colleges. We sing, shout, we shenanigate. Check us out on Instagram, the 9th Street Hooligans.
I don't know if you should go to this school. I don't know if shenanigate is a word.
Claremont Colleges is like more than one college. Claremonte, because it's with an E. Colleges.
Is this the one in California or the one in Florida? Or neither?
A helicopter went over us and it set off an alarm outside. This is in Claremont, the Claremont here in Southern California. The Claremont in like Inland Empire. And right near Upland.
It's like Die Hard out here. My goodness.
That's a very sensitive car alarm that just decided to go off. So here,
to be fair, those propellers do sound very close.
So let's hear, this is a full, could you imagine at Claremont Colleges, you got to go to the a cappella performance of the 9th Street Hooligans, and they're like, we're going to play 5-minute slowed down version of Heartache by Relient K. But I just wonder the politics of it. Like, in the construct of music, Heartache by Relient K is a pretty deep cut. So who says, like, this is the song we're going to do? Like, I guess if you're in a Christian school...
Mr. Shoe. It's a Glee reference.
Oh, gross. Here's 3 minutes and 55 seconds into this cover.
I will not let my heart ache. There will be no rest. Seminal masterpiece compare around.
It's okay. It's all right. It's pretty good. I mean, they're doing their thing, and that's what matters. It doesn't need to be a seminal masterpiece. It can just be a fun time had by all. Like this, the 2000s pop punk style cover of Heartache by Relient K, as performed by, you guessed it, the Paper Rockets.
Oh,
Yes,
thank
the
goodness.
Paper Rockets are back.
I suppose when my father did everything your mind.
Okay, I said 2000s pop punk, but doesn't. It just actually says cover in 2000 style by Paper Rockets. So let's see where they go. Maybe they're just building up.
This opening sounds a little bit too much like a cappella. And I've not made my feelings on a cappella a secret or anything, so...
Well, let's see. Let's see what they say. Let's see how they sing. Let's see how they play it. They're holding instruments, unless that's just some sort of like lie, just to trick you into listening to a cappella.
Nobody said, did he find his own way? Couldn't tell you what's in his head, but inside of mine, I'm one.
This doesn't feel like 2000 style yet, Paper Rockets.
No.
Maybe you're just building it up. Let's see. I like it after they get to the intro, and it's just like. Which is technically like 98, but whatever. Okay, we're skipping ahead 15 seconds. This is great, but I just want to hear how they change up the style.
I will not let my heart ache. I won't be treading water, waiting on the way. No, no, I will not let my heart ache.
What if Blink-182 wrote "Don't Stop Believin'"?
I see what they did there.
Yeah,
I see what they're doing.
This is a common thing that happens on YouTube channels. I just don't like that it took a full minute to get to the hook of the video, which is, it's fine. It's their thing. It's their thing. They decided to do the song sort of more traditionally up until that point. But I knew that this is what it was building to. I'm like, just get there. It's like me with this podcast. Like, Danny, we get it. You got there. You said it. Just move on.
No, I never really chased my dream. Never tried to get your shooting star. Not really sure how my dream found me. I guess that's the way you are. Now I'm right for the mystery. Cause you know it's gonna have to be so hard. If I only ever drag my feet, I guess I'll never get too far. To hold on and let it go. I tell you it's all I know. I will not let my heart ache. I won't be treading water, waiting on a wave. No, no.
I get it, 2000 style. You do it you throw College Kids in there, the guitar from College Kids,
Right.
or the one I'm waiting for, or Pie of 75, or whatever. You know, you just throw it in there.
Gotcha.
I got it. And it works. It works for this song too. So
I mean, the Paper Rockets come from a generation of pop punk bands like the Wonder Years, and whether or not they're influenced by those bands, but this just feels like that later, like,
sure, yeah.
neon pop punk. So they're trying to do it in a 2000 style, but yeah, that's fun where they reference College Kids. I was like, this sounds familiar, but I still had Damn It on my mind. So let's skip over. This is a 5-minute pop punk song. I can't understand. Like, I thought you speed it up and stuff. It shouldn't take the full 5 minutes to do it. Here's 3.5 minutes into the song. See, so, okay, this is cool. It's a pop punk cover of the song, but this is 2010's pop punk that they're playing. Even if you touch upon the sounds of 2000s or late 90s pop punk, this is still, like I said, all-time low,
Sure, yeah.
Wonder Years style pop
a little more
punk.
melodic.
Yeah.
There will be no over. The 7 months will be so weird all around time. Never nothing so blessed. Come on, come on, come on. There will be no over. No
And then there's still another minute of the song. Let's hear the... Oh, well, there's plugs at the end. Here's the last couple seconds.
come on, come on.
Very good. I just wanted to get... It's the last couple seconds. No, really, this is the last couple of seconds.
Literally.
So, yeah, so let's hear... We're flipping the script. Let's go back and hear Relient K do the best possible covers of this song. Here is the CCM Magazine version with Hoops and Thiessen playing this song on piano and kind of a chilled, laid-back electric guitar without too much distortion, pedally stuff going on. This is CCM Magazine. Now, there was a point, Jessica, where you used to joke around about how we're going to become the official podcast of CCMMagazine.com.
No. I joked that we were part of their podcast network, right. Not their official podcast. That means we would have to cover, like, I don't know, Stephen Curtis Chapman and people like that. I just meant we were part of the CCM podcast family.
Right. Well, here's what it would have been like to be part of that world.
I suppose that my father did everything Oma and Opa said. Did he find his own way? Couldn't tell you what's in his head, but inside of mine I'm wondering, did he find his own way? Days when the weather blends them all together and I'm losing track of time, trying to find my own way. And what if forever is better than ever? Maybe it's a sign that we found our own way. I will not let my heart ache. I won't be treading water, waiting on a wave. No, no, I will not let my heart ache.
So what do you think?
It's nice. It's a little more subdued. The thing is you can't see the visuals, but Hoops does have his whole full pedal board in front of him, but he's not really utilizing it so much. So you don't get all those fun, like, sort of guitar sounds in this version of the song.
It's also presented in black and white.
Right.
And they do like little changes up with the aspect ratio between different angles of the camera, so they're trying to be all like cutesy and like original Instagram.
Right. Trying to make it look more old school, that sort of thing. I get it.
So here's 3 minutes and 26 seconds into this version of the song.
I'm losing track of time, trying to find my own way. And what if forever is better than never? And baby, it's a sign that we found our own way. I will not let my heart ache. There will be no opus, no seminal masterpiece to wear around our necks. We know that nothing's hopeless. Come on, come on, come on. I will not let my heart ache. I will not let my heart ache.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that you love the Air for Free version that they did on the porch.
Right, yeah.
Outside in the rain.
Yeah.
And this isn't hitting that same thing for you.
No, not quite.
Well, they did the first song from this album, which I don't know if we found this cover. We don't think we found this version when we talked about Bummin'. It was an early episode in the single digits of our podcast. But here's Matt and Matt performing Bummin' for this same session.
Oh, cool.
Maybe we did talk about it. This sounds familiar now.
You can have my light, I'm sad. You can have the beat of my heart. You can be my light, pizzazz. You can be my spark in the dark.
I remember this now. I remember these affectations that he added up to the song.
Try hard as I might, I can't quite get it right. I'm broken down to where
Very good.
Nice.
I just wanted to visit that because I thought we didn't cover it back then.
Yeah.
So here is, we're almost done, I swear. Here is somebody who slowed and reverbed the song like I did with Forget Not Slow Down, and then Relient K shared it on their Instagram stories. This is a different somebody else than me doing that. And this is a common thing to do on YouTube and stuff like that. So here's somebody slowing and reverbing this song. This is Midnight Melody on YouTube from only 3 months ago. And I'm giving them their first thumbs up, and they only have 10 views. So check this out.
I suppose that my father did everything on my note said. Did he find his own way? Couldn't tell you what's in his head, but inside of mine I'm wondering, did he find his own way? Days when the weather blends them all together, and I'm losing track of time, trying to find my own way.
I mean, that sounds cool. I'm going to skip ahead 2 minutes.
I tell you it's That's all I know. I will not let my heart ache. I won't be treading water, waiting on a wave. No, no, I will not let my heart ache.
That's pretty good. I feel like I don't want to be too critical of it. I'm like, I would have spent a little bit more time in the kitchen looking for those sweet spots of slowing and reverbing. Maybe more reverb. Maybe it might be at the best slowed point, but just a little bit more reverb. When I do a slowed and reverbed or a nightcore, I don't just pick the first one. And I'm not saying this person did. I'm not saying Midnight Melody did. And I could be totally wrong. Somebody could have listened to my Forget Not, Slow Down, Slowed and Reverbed and been like, it should be lower, it should be higher, whatever. So I feel horrible. Please, I don't want to make anyone's heart ache. It sounds cool, though. It just sounds cool. And I like that the slowed and reverbed thing is starting to gain traction. And the nightcore thing is now a thing. It's a thing of the past. Gen Z is like, millennials can have their nightcore. We like our slowed and reverbed. So let's see, what else is there?
Very vaporwave of them.
So we will just pick one of these live performances, and then we should be good. Unless you want to watch the RuneScape video that I showed you earlier. It's amazing. I mean, I'm definitely
That's okay. That's definitely a share it on the socials, though.
So I've seen many RuneScape, like the video game RuneScape music videos, and they're similar to the Club Penguin videos that we've talked about before, where you just go around this sort of, low. I'm sorry, but it's a lower rent, like cheaper, easier to dive into, meant for kids kind of online world, and you type messages so your little speech bubble above you says the lyrics, and you capture all that footage and edit it together. This RuneScape video is very well done because they found a thing in each little scene that matches the lyrics and recorded themselves doing a little thing. Like when he's catching dreams,
was funny.
he's
It was
catching
delightful.
lit up balls and stuff. Yeah, it's an amazing RuneScape music video. But instead, we will just play this performance from the 2016 Looking for America tour. How do you feel, Jess? You want Connecticut, New York, or Columbus?
Ooh, let's go to New York.
Okay. Here we go to New York. And this is Rocker Mom MSM.
Oh, nice.
I suppose that my father did everything on my 100%. Did he find his own way? Couldn't tell you what's in his head, but inside mine I'm wondering, did he find his own way? Did he do everything wrong better? Not losing track of time, how to find my
I feel like live we got to get when the whole band kicks in. So let's go to about a minute 30 in. See, this brings to mind the thing I was kind of hinting at earlier, the U2. Now I'm kind of thinking like the big country. Like this kind of just brings to mind this sort of like indie college radio rock, European rock of the 80s through this kind of like modern twee.
For lack of a better term.
For lack of a better term. Sort of like dancey, poppy, worship tinged praise. I would say more praise tinged music, and not even in a Christian way, but like where some radio pop has like a praise feel now, even if it's not actually by a born again artist or not.
Right.
So yeah, this is great, and it closed a lot of their shows. There's one video on here of like, here's the last 5 seconds of Heartache plus them walking off stage. Like they just got the camera going, and they're like, that's all I got. I'm gonna upload it to YouTube. But I don't know. What do you think? Heartache by Relient K, Jessica. How do you feel about this song? Do you like it the same, less, or more than before we talked about it?
I mean, I already really love this song. I don't know if I love it more than before, maybe, or if I just love it exactly the same. I mean, that's a really tough one this week, actually. I'm going to say more.
I mean, true love, it's like you love something even more every time you see it.
Right.
Every time you see them and look at them, you just love them more. I'm using this opportunity to just win points with you. Be like, I just love you more than I've ever loved you. No,
what about you, Dan? What do you think?
I definitely love this song, more
Good.
than before because I did not give it a lot of attention. I definitely vibed on this song when it would come on when we play the whole album. So I like it a lot more. I think it's a great closing track, and I never even kind of considered it as a closing track because when we listen to Air for Free, we kind of listen 3 times all the way through. So it's almost like a, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't even think of it as a closing track until from this context, though. So anyway, that is Heartache and that's a Mint Mobile ad coming up next on my phone. So we'll see you next time on Sadie Hawkins Pod.
Thanks for listening.